Hey y'all, I am LucidFaith, and today I want to give an introduction to Scholar. Scholar is a healing role that is unlocked through Arcanist at level 30. Now, there's a ton of guides out there on how to play any given job at level 80. While those are great, for me and a lot of new players, they're information overload, especially when we are just trying to learn the basics of a class and we're like, hey, I just hit level 30 and I unlocked this new role. What do I do? So, with that in mind, I want to focus on the skills between level 1 and 50, show you the basics and the fundamentals around being a scholar. Let's jump in. Now diving in, Scholar is a class that gets a pet to do a lot of healing for you. This pet is a fairy named either Eos or Selene. Now, once upon a time, they were different stances for your Scholar and they did different things. Nowadays, they're exactly the same. So, take a look at the two fairies, pick the one you like that looks better in your opinion, and summon that, and you'll be good to go. Now, what can your fairy actually do for you? Well, it casts a spell called Embrace every 2 to 3 seconds. And what that does is it heals one of your party members. It prioritizes the lowest health party member of your group. So if you're healing your tank and you notice your DPS takes a handful of damage, keep healing your tank, keep doing what you're doing, and your fairy can pop up your DPS. Or what I like to do, if I notice my team has a lot of chip damage across the board, I don't really worry about it, and I let Selene or Eos top them up for me. Now, the other thing they do is they have a few spells that when you cast, you don't actually cast. You tell your pet to do the spell. Of those spells, the first one you get is a spell called Whispering Dawn. What it does is it is a heal over time. What it actually says in the text is gradually restores the HP of all nearby party members. So it's an AoE, an area of effect spell, centered on your fairy. So usually your fairy follows you around, so make sure that you're in a good spot, so therefore she's in a good spot when you cast it, and it'll grant a heal over time to everybody. Learning this area and how large it actually is takes some getting used to, so just be mindful of your positioning and the positioning of your party members when you cast it. The second fairy spell that you get is called Fey Illumination. This one comes in at level 40, and what it is basically a buff. You increase the amount of healing that everybody takes by 10% and reduces magic damage taken by 5%. So healing goes up, incoming magic damage goes down. Cool, it lasts 20 seconds. It's another area of effect that is centered on your fairy. So again, be very mindful of your positioning and make sure you learn that area. So something that's pretty cool is your fairy acts as a pet, which means you get a pet hotbar with 2 commands in particular that I really like. First off is place. So what this means is if you click place and stick her somewhere, she's gonna go and stay there. Now remember, the fairy spells are an area of effect that are centered on your pet. So say you put her in the middle of a boss arena, then any spells you go off will be centered there, and you can maybe hit more people while keeping yourself out of harm's way. So you can do some cool stuff with that. Play around with it, see what works for you, but big note, whenever you're ready to move on, make sure you use the heal command, H-E-E-L, to call her back to you. If you don't, and you just walk away, she'll eventually despawn, and then you'll have to manually summon her back. Alright y'all, let's talk about global cooldowns versus off global cooldowns and what that actually means. So, global cooldowns, what is it? Basically, when you use a skill, you'll notice a lot of your other skills go on cooldown, right? So, how long is the global cooldown? Usually 2.5 seconds. You'll notice that in the recast part of your box. Now, if you look at my action skill information though, mine's at 2.43 seconds. The reason for that is that your global cooldown is affected by things such as spell speed, so you can actually lessen it. Cool. So what's the other one? Off global cooldowns. And if you look back at our skills, if we use one of these, you'll notice not all of the skills actually go on cooldown. These are your off global cooldown skills. Now, these have their own independent timers. Neat. So we'll get those recasts. For example, this is Sacred Soil, has a recast of 30 seconds. So if I pop that right now, it goes on cooldown, nothing else does, and that's now on cooldown for its 30 seconds. Now, you may be worried about how to use these properly now that you know this new information. Rule of thumb, use your off global cooldown skills before your global cooldown skills. Let's talk healing skills. First off, at level 30, you have access to 2. Your first one is going to be Psychic. This is going to be your cheap 400 cure potency, 400 MP cost heal. You'll be using this a lot until about level 45, mostly just to supplement your other casts. The other one you'll be mainly supplementing is Adlocurium. Now this is a cool skill. Has a cure potency of 300, which is a little bit less than the last one, but has an interesting property. Whenever you cast it, 125% of what it was healed will grant a shield to your target known as Galvanize. And if you crit, an additional shield of 125% will be granted the target as well. So if you crit, you grant them a 250% shield of what you healed them for. And what's even cooler is you don't have to wait until they take damage to put this on them. You can actually do it ahead of time and they can still get that shield. So while this skill is amazing, it's a little bit expensive at 1000 MP. At level 35, you get a healing spell known as Succor. This is your first AoE heal. A little expensive at 1300 MP cost, has a cure potency of 180, lowest yet, but also does the same thing with shield. It applies a 125% shield to everyone hit by it. It doesn't have the additional effect of critting, and this shield does not stack with Galvanize or Catalyze, but it's still really good. Now, at level 45, you unlock your Aetherflow gauge. Now, this is this guy right here. Now, your Aetherflow gauge can fill up to 3 slots when you use your Aetherflow ability. Cool. What the Aetherflow ability does is it restores 10% of your max MP. You have to cast it on a target, and it grants you the 3 charges. Now, once you have the charges, you can spend them on certain skills. So if you look at Energy Drain, it deals damage with a potency of 150 and absorbs MP for you based off the damage done, and it costs 1 Aetherflow gauge. Cool. But the really nice ability that you get is Lustrate. Now, Lustrate is a heal, a cure potency of 600, our highest yet, and cost 1 Aetherflow gauge. What was really cool about it, it is instant cast and has a recast time of 1 second, which means this is an off global cooldown heal. So even if you say cast your Adlocurium, get a shield on somebody, you still want to get them some more health, you can immediately cast Lustrate. There's no wait on that. So you can almost use this as a panic button heal. Well, that's how I use it, and it's amazing. The final skill that we'll be discussing is Sacred Soil. Now, this is a bubble that you can cast as an AoE that reduces the damage taken of those inside of it. It does have a duration of 15 seconds, has a recast time of 30 seconds, so which means it's an off global cooldown skill, and it costs 1 Aetherflow gauge. This is a great skill to use, especially for boss fights or fights that aren't going to move around very much. You drop it down where your tank wants to be, and then as long as they're in that, they're going to take reduced damage, which means less hit points you have to restore. And that's it for my Intro to Scholar Guide. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you have any questions, comment down below. And if you want more, go ahead and subscribe. But y'all, if you want to talk more about this or anything else, I do stream over on Twitch. at twitch.tv/LucidFaith every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central. But y'all, always remember that you will see you in the next one.